Hi guys, my name is Josh Valdez, and today we're going to be installing the Island Engineering sway bar kit. So it looks like we have everything. We have 22mm sway bars, front and back, and we have sway bar end links. We have the spacers, silicone, basically everything we need to get our car to not have any body roll. So we're ready. Let's go, guys. Some of the basic tools we're going to need, definitely a flashlight, 13, 14s, ratchet, a deep socket 13, a 6mm Allen, made a little easier for us for a swivel 14, and then 13, 14, 17, and maybe 22. So then this will obviously make it a little easier as well. So, all right, guys, we're going to start with the front part of the car, and there's about 6 bolts on. Holding this front sway bar on, so it's not too bad. First, we're probably going to start with the 13s right here. Probably need a 13 deep socket. Get those off, and then there's going to be 2 6mm Allens. Once we get those, get the whole bushing and mount out of the way, and then after that we kind of have to Jenga the piece out of there. And once we're out, then we'll show you what's next. So we're taking out this front sway bar, and it looks like the easiest way is to get this front sway bar and get it out from right here, basically. So these front control arms are a little bit in the way, so we unbolted, and we are gonna scoot it back so that there's enough space for the sway bar to weasel out of this area. Now we got the sway bar out, we're going to put these mounts there. And so what we have to do is take out these 2 bolts, and we're going to have a Christmas tree jack standing under here, because when we're taking out these bolts, we're going to basically be unbolting the front subframe. And when we do that, we just want to make sure there's some pressure so that the subframe's not going to drop out of the car, or the motor's going to drop out of the car, just to be safe. So.
Pretty much get it ready to leave.
Oh, yeah. So it looks like we found this front bolt does not want to, the hole's not lining up with the threads very well because it's hitting this corner right here. So it looks like we're gonna have to shave this down on a belt sander real quick, so it's gonna fit in there nicely and line up with the hole, with the threads. So we basically had to shave the sides down a little because it wasn't sitting perfect, and if you're looking through the holes, the threads were offset just a little, just on the front. And the reason I'm thinking we had to do this is because a lot of these E10s, it kind of depends. This is an early model, this is a 68. Some of the later models could have fit more perfect, but this is what we had to do on this one. So every car might be a little bit different, and so we did what we had to do to make it work. So looking better. Now that we got the sway bar mounts already bolted up, we're gonna go to the sway bar end links. We have these new ones, replacing sway bar end links. And one thing I would like to note that we should definitely use some of the silicone on these rubber bushings, or on these urethane bushings, because if not, they might be squeaking and you're gonna hear a lot of noise that you don't want to hear. after you do all the suspension work. A few of the differences we have from the old stuff to the new stuff. The old one, it had double bushings on top and bottom, and the new ones only have bushings on top, and it's going to be a little more sturdy because there's a bolt in place of existing bushings. So to put this on, we're going to need bushing, first side, bushing on the back side, and we have a washer, a spacer, and then a nut to hold it all together. After that, we're going to put the end links on. And it's going to be better if we hold that on there, get a couple threads on top, and then we'll get an electric gun and buzz it on so it can zip it down. So we put a ton of grease in here and sway bar bushing, and just basically it's going to make it a lot easier to slide this bushing on. And we want to kind of rock it back and forth to get the grease all moving around. And we get this piece. And it looks like we're good to go. So I found it easiest if we put this side in a little extra, then we have a lot more room to put this side back on. So we want to leave these a little bit loose so that we're able to get this top bolt inside. The reason that it's at an angle so much is because the car is on the lift and the tires are a lot more down from where the ride height is usually at. So once the tires sit back up, the ride height will be at a different angle, or these will be at a different angle to where it looks more acceptable rather than this weird angle. That's why it's at a weird angle right now. So Ireland gave us two options. The back one is going to be for a little less stiff. The front one is for more. And I think what we're going to do today is just may as well go big. And we can see how it feels, and if it's too stiff, we can adjust it later. But right now we're looking for a big difference, so we're going to go for the big one. Once we're all done, then it should be a 90-degree. Right now we're kind of going down, but that also is because this whole car is on the lift. So once we have the car on the ground, then we have to adjust this, probably open it up a little bit so that this part will be a 90 degree when we're finished on the ground at final ride height. Alright guys, now we're moving on to the rear sway bar. This one's going to be a lot easier, very simple. We have about 6 bolts as well. And so we have the Swivel End Links, the 2 bushings, and I think it's pop in and pop out. Let's get started. Now we got all 6 bolts out. It's basically going to be sliding this back a little and popping it out. Easy as that. Now we have the Swivel End Links for the rear. It's going to be very straightforward. This piece is going to slide on. We're going to tighten these up, and it's going to kind of crimp down on it. And we are also going to put more grease on the bushings, make sure there's no squeaking and kind of help the life of the bushings. And it's pretty simple. Alright, and we're gonna install the Swivel End Links. So we're gonna go this, another bushing. We got a washer. A spacer, and then a nuts. It's pretty similar to the front. Alright guys, now we're gonna put on the bushings. So we are having to reuse these metal brackets. So I basically just took them off, shot them with some black paint real quick. And so to install these, super simple, just like the other ones. Crimps over. And basically something just like that. Good to go. Alright, so we have our mounts right here. We have this little tab down here, and there's a hole right here. So basically what we're gonna do is slide it in about like that. It's coming down there, and we have a bolt on the top. Something like that. Let's do this again.
Okay, should we get you the
So we have brand new bushings right here, and this mount is just a little bit hard to get these bolts all the way in. So what we had to do, got a pair of vice grips, squeezed it down so that the mount's already down, and we could basically just had to thread them in very easily. Took a lot of time off our hands. So. So on the Swivel End Links, we decided to take these pieces off first. Might be a little easier. What we're gonna do, slide it on, and then we have our new hardware. Go through, and a washer and a nylock. All right, guys, we're all done. We got this all bolted up. And so now, this degree right here, this angle of the sway bar should be about 90 degrees with final ride height on the ground. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna lower it on the lift and get it on the right ride height and adjust from there. Adjustments right here, we're gonna either, this is all the way down, we're either probably gonna scoot it out a little bit, a few threads to get this about a 90. So. Let's give it a shot. My word.
Oh really?
Western. But it's the fastest one in the shop. Alright, we just had it on the ground, and it looks like this thing is a little too far up. The sway bar, the angle is a little too high. So over here, we spaced it out about a ½ inch. And we're gonna go test and see what it looks like with that. We're thinking that's gonna be pretty good. So we'll fix this one up and see how it looks. All right, so on the fronts, we didn't really have to adjust too much because with everything down at the final ride height, it is at a good angle, pretty flat, parallel to the ground. These angles are. So we're gonna tighten these all up, and I think we're gonna go give it for a test drive.
I'm living this life to the fullest. I don't wanna hear no to the water, cause you could
guys, we just got back from a nice little drive, and this car's unreal. See, sits a lot more in corners, feels like the whole thing is a lot more sturdy, no body roll. Before, I used to go to autocross, and I would have about 3 to 4 inches of, I guess, travel from the tire going over the fender well, and right now it's very minimal. So I'm really happy with that. We did have a little hiccups. We had to sand down the aluminum blocks just a tad to fit in the subframe, and I don't really think that's too much of an issue. I think it's just some different cars are through early and late models. Some cars are kind of have certain things about them, and later cars have certain things about them, and but everything fit really well, and I'm really happy with how it is. I'd like to give a good thanks to Ireland Engineering, hooked me up with this kit, super happy, and Rk.tan filming the video, and then Spec Fab for sponsoring the shop. So, loving it, guys. Have a good one.